Welcome to the 2018 Academy of Fellows in Instructional webinar. I'm Buddy Barnes, your chair of the Academy, and today we will go over the information that is once again on your website. But we'll go through each one of the slides, and at the end of it we will have a Q&A if in fact you have any questions you'd like to ask. And if you want to just send them by email, you can send them by email into Kathy Hoff at SAME.org. The important thing is, while we're on transmit from this side, it's probably best for all parties to be put on mute until you have a question that you want to ask.
For questions, please make sure you use the chat box.
Yeah. So we will start now. The first element that we'll discuss is the calendar of events that we're going to go through. And the important dates for all of you to remember. If in fact you're a nominator, there are nominator times. August 15th is a desirable time to get nomination information to your regional fellow POC. September 1st would be the time that that regional fellow POC completes your reviews and gets that information back to the nominators. It's terribly important that the nominators and the nominee work together during that process. October 2nd is a very important date for you all to remember. It is the date that we need to have your nomination sent to the national office. It's via upload, and the RVP endorsement will come separately. That date is specified. The others may be recommended. That's an important date to remember. November 15th is when we anticipate having the process completed, where I will be able to report our recommendation to the society president. As we move forward into November, there will be a time when we will be able to provide the nominees and nominators the information on who was selected. Important date is out in the future. March 13th is the selectees are expected to attend the Fellows Investiture in Rockville, Maryland. That's something for all you nominators and nominees to know. This is your first duty is show up. And so that's terribly important. We'll go on to the next. Here's the overview of today's activities. We'll look at the fellow roll. As stated, we'll look at the nomination form information and the review process phases, and then actually go to a Q&A afterwards. So let's get started. The fellow roll. As noted in the Fellows Pledge, I will understand the national direction and translate it into action at the post level. Terribly important for you to understand that is the commitment and pledge that the fellow makes. Let's move on to the next page. In the SAME bylaws, which is proposed for the board in October this year in 2018, the highlighted elements are elements that are in change, and it will be approved by the board. The executive committee will see this at Post Leaders Workshop, and then it will go forward for the board. So classification, the society who have made an impact on SAME and on the engineering profession and who are committed to continuing to do so. So a fellow is one who has made impact in SAME and their engineering profession and commits to continue doing that. When we look at the requirement, the highlighted portion of change, and a written declaration of future service. So that's part of your application that we'll discuss. The nominations must be submitted according to the instructions provided by the Academy. So it's very important as we go through that there's a written declaration of future service. Let's get into the form. The nominee information. For the nominees, the information entered here must match your individual's SAME record. So it's very important to look at the years of membership, and they need to match the SAME records. If you have to explain, why don't you explain before you turn in your nomination? Make sure you check your record out and make sure that the information you're providing is going to match the information at SAME. The service information. Please follow the directions, word limits, and font size. Be specific and concise. Actually, more is not better. Be brief, be direct, focus on the impact that you have made personally. Let's go to the next item, and that actually is in the endorsement side. In the endorsements, there are 4 endorsements that you must have on your form. There is a nominator endorsement, there is a regional fellow point of contact endorsement, there is a regional vice president, which comes separately, and there is a post president endorsement. So there are 4 endorsements that are needed. Please look at this in this. Ensure that the endorsers are given enough time to properly prepare their endorsement. Don't rush someone, because your endorsers should know you prior to being approached to do that endorsement. So that's for the nominee. Let's talk to the endorser. Focus should be on your assessment of the commitment of the nominee to actively serve after becoming a fellow. It's very important. Your endorsement focuses on the future. Now we look at one more point that is significant in the application nomination process, is the society knowledge. If you're going to follow your pledge and take the national direction and translate it at the post level, you need to understand the national direction. So this is a test of national direction knowledge. All the information is found on our SAME website. It is open book, and there are some open-ended questions to be treated as essay. Once again, less is more in this case, but be direct, be succinct, and be able to tell us your opinion. The next item is on the future fellows role. That element in the nomination form is a document that is signed, that will be signed after your fellows ceremony. And that document actually will be put up on the website, the fellows website, for future and past fellows to know what is your passion and what they should expect of you. The citation will be used at the ceremony. The SAME does retain the right to edit citations for grammar and word count, but generally the citation is pick out the things of key importance that make this nomination and selection very important. Well, let's go to the review stage so you understand what goes on after you turn that application or the nomination application in. That nomination form comes into the national headquarters and phase 1 occurs. The nominee information is matched to the SAME member number or member record. The instructions were followed proper information uploaded, and proper endorsements. So this is basically a complete package is on time. If you have any extenuating circumstances, we have you contact Kathy Off at koff@same.org. Those not meeting the basic requirements will be eliminated from the process at that point. This is no different than it's always been.
Also, if you are unsure about your join date with SAME, you can contact Katya Watts, who is our membership database manager, and she can look that information up for you. And her information is on our website, or you can just send me an email and I will send you her information.
So from that phase 1, we move forward to phase 2. Phase 2, all packets that make it to here will be reviewed by the AOF vice chairs and regional fellow point of contacts as a yes or no vote. This is basically, this group of people will, to include the 17 regional fellow point of contacts and all our vice chairs, will review these packets. They'll review it for whether this person has had enough experience, enough impact, and do a yes or no vote. Well, all no packages will be further reviewed by myself and the deputy chair. So we are not going to allow the group just to discard something. We do a final quality check again, and those no confirmed packets will be eliminated from the process, and they will be notified to the individual of what was missing, what was different, what the problem was with that no package. So we take it on to phase 3. Phase 3 is the yes packets that will be scored by the AOF Executive Committee, consisting of the chair, the deputy chair, and the vice chairs. That's 7 people who will review all the packets that go forward. So you understand, and it is also on the form, but here are the percentages that are applied to each element of that form. Your SAME leadership at 5%, service to SAME at 20%, service to your profession at 15%, awards and honors at 5%, endorsements will be 10%, society knowledge will be 20%, future role will be 25%. As you may note, with that percentages, your future as a fellow providing service back to the society is over 50% of the scoring here. The next page, in phase 3, we will have deliberation meetings with scoring reviews and revisions are necessary to ensure that diversity is achieved. An example there is an engineer vice chair may need to hear more perspective from the business development vice chair. We have a blended group of people as vice chairs with backgrounds that are far different, and so we need to make sure that we get all of that information in from that diverse group of people to make sure that we give a fair and equitable review of all the packets. The recommendations based on the overall historical impact and your future commitment. The review committee will rank individuals according to the score averages from all the members. Recommendations presented by the chair to the president, and then the selects and non-selects will be contacted by a member of the executive committee. At this point, I am planning to make any of those contacts myself. So you will get information if you're a non-select, and that will allow me to contact you and discuss the reasons for that happening. Hopefully, we will have no non-selects and everyone will have good, complete packages. That is the end of the PowerPoint that we have available for you today. That is on the website. It can be pulled off. This will be recorded and placed on the website for those to be able to see this webinar. At this point in time, I would like to have you send any questions in through the chat box, and we will try to answer them now. If in fact if you're on the phone and you wish to approach us by telephone, please let us know, and we will bring you into the conversation.
So it looks like our first question is, please expand on society knowledge and future role.
Okay. As we look at the form, the society knowledge will have 10 questions, and we're bringing it up on the site if you can see it. 10 questions that are associated with information that we have out on the website about the society. Examples are the strategic plan, the Constitution, our bylaws, nominating procedures, the IGE plan, the AOF operations, AOF charge and pledge, the foundation, the strategic partners that we have, and member responsibility. All of those are actually up on the website right now. And so there will be questions. Each year there will be different questions, but they will be in those areas. And so that's what we have. The questions right now are quite visible to you. And those are the questions for 2018. Now, the future role, as we look at that paragraph number 8, what is your future plan to translate your passion for the SAME mission and national direction into action at the post level? What impact do you plan to make, and what will be the metrics to measure that impact? So we would like you to provide a document that explains what your passion is, where you would like to focus, and how would you be measured in this action to determine whether you succeeded or not. And so that is what we're asking. If it's not explained extremely well, let us know, and we will continue that.
So the next question is, when does the regional POC provide the yes/no vote?
The regional POC and the rest of the executive committee will provide that vote after October 2nd, when all of the application or the nominations are in, and those nominations have gone through the phase 1, and they will all get full packet review. So I would anticipate that occurring sometime in mid-October when the yes/no vote occurs.
So Tony has some comments, but there was one other sort of add-on question about the society knowledge before we do that.
Okay.
Can answers to society knowledge be pulled as quotes off of SAME.org?
Well, they would be. I mean, the answer is found in the document. If in fact you can cut and paste the answer, that's fine. Once you understand what we're doing, we would like you to review those documents. We would like you to understand and be able to translate that to members of your post. And so if you want to cut and paste off of that document, in most cases, that would be fine.
So one more question before we go to Tony. if the RVP point of contact following the review of the draft nomination judges the nomination as a no-go, will the nominator or nominee have a second chance to resubmit, taking into account the feedback provided by the point of contact?
All right, then that question is, if in fact the POC in the month of August determines that it's a no-go and provides guidance, then that individual, the nominee and nominator, can alter that document to meet the needs that have been pointed out by the POC. Now, if in fact the POC or the group of POCs and other reviewers in phase 2 find it a no-go, the next time you have that shot would be next year. And so finding it early in the areas that the POCs are reviewing within that region is terribly important to make sure that you feel comfortable as a POC of sending that nomination forward. It is not our intent to have the selection committee being the ones who have to turn it around. It is, giving that guidance early on, making sure that your nominee that you're sending forward as a POC and you're endorsing is qualified.
So Tony wanted to ask this question, so I'm going to unmute him really quick. If I can here. Unmute. All right, I'm unmuted.
Role of the
All right, everybody's unmuted right now, so please have yourself on mute so that Tony can talk.
Yeah, somebody's doing something. So the first comment I have is the role of the regional reviewers seems to me to be extraordinarily important, and I believe you used the number 17. I don't know what the number is, but so assuming there are 17 regional reviewers. Now, Buddy, you and I have participated in the review panels before. We both know that these reviewers approach their responsibilities with a different degree of passion, if you will. How are we going to get some consistency across the reviewers? Is the thought that the executive committee will provide that consistency? It'll come about through the review. I mean, you're going to have to get 17 of these people together, I guess. Is that the vision? You're going to get 17 people together to talk about these packets, and all 17 are going to look at each one of the packets? Is that the way this goes?
Basically, we have, let me get back to the passion. We now have a regional point of contact job description, and we have a post fellow point of contact job description, which are far more defined than they used to be. Now, as we move forward in the go, no-go process, it is, and we really don't anticipate a lot of fallout at that stage. It is one that they're looking at and says, and it's not going to be one person, one vote to get rid of someone. It needs to be a significant number, like a majority, to be able to get that person stopped at that stage and have me review it to determine if in fact it is a nomination that goes forward. We are going to provide additional information to those reviewers, the vice chair reviewers and the regional point of contact reviewers, to make sure that we have some level of consistency in that process. We are not going to bring them together, all 23 people together at this point. The go, no-go type process will be done at home station, and then we will bring the vice chairs together for the face-to-face meeting that will put points on it. Did they explain it, Tony?
Tony?
Did that?
Okay, I'm going to remute everybody. We're going to move on to the next question. Susan, how strict are you with the word count? I found it difficult last year to include all of my SAME involvement under the word count. So how strict are we with the word count?
Well, we basically are strict with the word count. We need to be. We're talking a fairly sizable word count here, and so being brief, using bullets, using succinct information to say what you did that had the impact, what challenges you may have had, and how do you solve those challenges. They can be brief. I know putting in 10 years, 15, 20 years in a short period, in a short document is very difficult, but that's a challenge that we believe that you're up to. And so we would like to have a succinct document that determines, tells us all that you've done and all that you want to tell us.
Okay, next question. If the nominee's membership has not been continuous and has been a mix of individual and or sustaining member representative membership, should that be explained in the narrative form for clarification so that a nominee is not placed on the no-go list?
That's a very good question. Yes, and it would be let's not use all your word count. It is a brief statement that says, I have been, as an example, I have been on 2 sustaining memberships, and I have an individual membership. And so that will go, first of all, to the staff at SAME. They'll be able to hopefully put in definitive information about the nominee for the review panel to look at.
So somebody posted another sort of question extending from Tony's. Seems that some additional guidance is needed for regional points of contact. The experience in the past has been that regional points of contact provided comments to nominees, but left it to them to revise their packages appropriately. Not sure how we ensure that final package will be revised to include all comments provided by the regional points of contact.
Right. In the past, the regional point of contact was one who gave advice. Now the regional point of contact is one who gives very succinct direction and advice. If they don't follow that direction, then you may not be endorsing that nomination. So it's got 2 different levels for the point of contact. One, to be able to work with that nominee and nominator to explain to them what needs to be accomplished. The second is, if they don't accomplish it, then are you still going to nominate them? Are you still going to endorse them with their nomination? So yes, the role of the POC at the regional level has changed significantly. And so there is a responsibility to the academy and the individual to make sure that they follow that guidance, and your post fellow should be able to be very helpful to the regional fellow in this guidance. And so we now have a post fellow that should be helping at the post level, translating what you gave them as the individual to the nominee and nominator. And so, yes, the roles have changed, and yes, we need to improve the response by the nominators and the nominees to the guidance by the POC.
So it doesn't look like there's any other questions. If you have any questions that you think of after the fact, please feel free to send an email to myself, to Buddy, or any of the vice chairs, and we will be sure to answer you right away. Oh, looks like we've got one more. If you are in a post that has a new military post president who's new to the post and doesn't know you, who's the alternate that can complete the endorsement?
Well, my suggestion is to use the past president that does know you, and then work the past president, notify the president of their knowledge of you, and effectively be your endorser. If in fact it is the past president and that person is going to endorse you, that endorser should let the panel know that because of the change, that person is endorsing you as past president, as post president, and therefore we understand the change, why it occurred, and we can move forward. But that would be completely acceptable to have the past president do it if the new president does not know you that well.
All right, doesn't look like there's any other questions. So like I said, if you have any questions that you think of later, please feel free to email us. And this recording will be posted to the website in the next couple days. So thanks all for being on the call. Buddy, any final words?
Thank you very much for being on the call. Thank you for the questions. We are trying to make this a process that we can improve, live with, and keep people involved. Once we get all the points of contact established with the fellow point of contact at the post and the regional level, we will be sending out to the regional fellows and post fellows that job description, and on the regional fellows, we are going to ask to reconfirm that we changed the job. Do you still want to do that job? We want you to, but we just want to make sure we give you that chance to respond back to us. The regional fellows will be part of the executive committee, and I'll be working with them a significant amount over the year. And so we look forward to it. We look forward to some great nomination packages. And if you have any questions, once again, as Kathy said, please send them in. We'll make sure that we respond to them. And thank you very much for being involved.